Right, as we come and we shift our focus back to what's happening at the Midrand Conference Center. That's where the Democratic Alliance is holding its elective Congress. And, of course, the focus, Athi Mtongana, has been this hour on some of the constitutional amendments. I believe you've got Alan Winde there with you. What are the latest developments?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Thabo. Yes, I am standing by with the Premier of the Western Cape. He carries the largest constituency here. The many candidates that are here, most of them are actually from the Western Cape. He has the numbers behind him. Thank you so much, Premier, for your time. We know the DA, well, the Western Cape is the DA stronghold, and I mean the numbers speak for themselves, but the way in which you govern in the Western Cape and looking into 2024 and beyond, do you perhaps think that the way you govern in the Western Cape, that model would be adopted going into perhaps the coalitions that are predicted for 2024 and beyond?
No, Athi, thank you. I mean, I think that's exactly why I really am passionate about what I do and what we do in the Western Cape, because we do it for the citizens of the Western Cape who voted for us, but we actually do it for South Africa. And you know, if we can take some of those models through to other provinces, because of course this is an election in 2024 for South Africa, but it's also an election for provinces. So can we bring it through to Gauteng? Can we actually enable Gauteng to set a track record now, following in our footsteps? And you know, obviously it's a test bed for a national government. So you're testing different policies, you're testing what you're doing. Are you making a difference, tweaking? I like trying things new and trying different things, and you know, thereby enabling a difference, enabling change, and enabling better lives for our citizens.
Let's take the electricity crisis as an example. You have gone out of your way in the Western Cape to ensure that you not only plan around mitigating the energy crisis, you have contingency plans, you have come on record to say that you won't wait for the governing party, you won't wait for them to bring about these plans and solutions to deal with the energy crisis. Would those kind of plans to deal with the energy crisis that you have adopted in the Western Cape be the kind of direction to be followed at a national scale?
Absolutely. And I mean, we already, I've met with a new minister. I've given our whole plan to the new Minister of Electricity, Dr. Mafopa. I met him last Saturday. Said this is our plan, this is what we're doing. Absolutely transparent and public. We do a public press conference every single week on it. And the model is changing. So, I mean, we've dabbled a little bit in electricity beforehand, but it's always been in the 1 megawatt space where we're trying to get embedded generation going. We set up Green Cape so many years ago in the small environment. We, you know, enabling a special economic zone in Atlantis for the green economy for the future. But now suddenly with a change where municipalities can play a much stronger role, and of course we're pushing the boundaries on private sector investment. We've set ourselves a target in the province of 5,700 megawatts. Now at the moment we only use 4,000 megawatts. So we're even projecting beyond what we use at the moment, because our province is growing so fast. And you've got to show intent and what are you enabling for the economy of the future. We've also put a budget aside to fund that plan, 1.1 billion. It was approved on Wednesday afternoon in the legislature. My 1.1 billion is now approved. Those plans kick in from today, the 1st of April. We've got 2 new departments that started today, a Department of Mobility but a Department of Infrastructure. How do they start playing a role in electrical infrastructure, supporting municipalities? And also on Wednesday, the city of Cape Town went out on a 500 megawatt bid for embedded generation, for dispatchable power. That is battery power or gas to power, something that you can turn on and off, that actually supports our renewable energy. So we are absolutely focused on trying to get as many of our load shedding levels out of the way as possible. In actual fact, we're setting a target on some small towns this year to be load shedding free by the end of the year. These are the urgency that we want to put in place. But then, of course, we must all understand that changing South Africa's problem of energy supply at the moment is a big ask. Nearly 90% of our energy is produced by an aging coal fleet that hasn't been serviced properly. 45 years old on average, and you've seen it. Announced load shedding level 1 in the morning, everybody goes, wow, and by the afternoon it's on 4 again. So you've got to understand that this is not a quick fix in South Africa, but we will push every boundary to fix it as quick as possible. And, we'd like to do that after the election in Gauteng. We'd like to do that after the election in other provinces and nationally. But even in the meantime, we'll share that data anyway, and we'll share the projects anyway. We've got to move as quickly as we can to get this country's energy problems behind us.
You speak about privatization, and I must mention that there have been reports of people concerned about the push towards privatization and how that would impact the ordinary South African, for example. And the issue, of course, of tariffs constantly increasing and being very heavy on a normal South African's pocket, someone who barely even has anything to put on the table to eat and has to worry about how they'll keep the lights on. Do you think that they have, their frustration is warranted, given how we know the private sector handles business, because for them it's all about profits?
So right now there's no private sector really in bulk energy supply in South Africa, and we are facing over 18% increases in our energy use, and the lights can't stay on. So government is not able to provide that energy. The private sector is the solution, but you've got to get it right. You can't give it all to one private sector supplier. You've got to make sure that there's competition, and through the competition you'll manage the pricing. But government must also understand that they should also play a role. I mean, I don't know in the energy provisos for government of saying in the future what percentage of energy should Eskom be providing, because then you've got a government-funded energy system that provides at a certain price. Should they be the balancing factor? I think they should.
Are you going to bring the balancing factor in the Western Cape?
Well, at the moment, we're not disconnecting from Eskom, and I don't think I ever will. If something goes down, you must be able to use the other power supply systems. But what I do believe is that more and more private sector in a competitive space will definitely bring the price down and not push the price up. I mean, the latest tender that went out for concentrated solar, big solar plants in the Northern Cape, are coming in at 7 cents a kilowatt hour. I mean, this is like way cheaper than anything else. At the moment, in the government supply, the lights are off, or we're using diesel to keep our lights on. I mean, this is just ludicrous. So but it must be a mix at the end of the day, and it must be open and competitive, and it must be a mix of different energy systems: wind, solar, LNG, battery, all sorts of technologies going into the future. Green hydrogen in a few years' time. There's a lot of possibilities. Don't bank all your money on one, because all the money's on Eskom at the moment, and Eskom has failed the citizens of South Africa. So you need to have that mix.
Before I let you go, let's bring it back here. The election of new leaders for the party, very crucial in the up-and-coming general elections. Who are you putting your weight behind? We have spoken to other candidates who have openly put their cards open. For example, we spoke to the mayor of the city of Cape Town, and he was saying he's putting his weight behind John Steenhuisen.
Yes.
But I'm looking at the dynamics of the Western Cape and the kind of leader that you would want to not only take the nation forward, but given the dynamics of the Western Cape.
So I've decided that I'm not sticking people's faces all over my shirt. I'm not standing at anybody's specific table. My vote is my vote. But I want to also say that, remember, we're electing a leader, and we're electing a whole management team that's going to be the team that's going to lead us into this election. So, of course, these 2,000 delegates behind me, that's their responsibility. It's our responsibility, all of us who have that vote. And, of course, what we're doing in this process is saying this is the team that we want to take us into this election, number one. But number two, this is also the team that we want to build confidence with for the South Africans. And, we want every single DA voter to come out and vote. But I actually want other voters to come out and vote as well. And more importantly, there are more people who don't vote in South Africa that can vote. They've either stopped voting or they haven't registered to vote. And what we need to understand is this is a seriously important election. If you're unhappy with energy supply, if you are unhappy with water supply and services, if you are unhappy with the crime levels that they are, then make change. And you the citizen have the power to change. And I think we've got the best offering, because where we govern, we show we make a difference.
I think you started your election campaign for the Democratic Alliance going into 2024. Thank you so much, the Premier of the Western Cape, Alan Winde.